If you choose happy and you find happy, then the unimaginable possibilities could happen. I believe that when you're looking to change habits, I used to think it was like a 7-day or a 30-day habit, but I don't think it's that easy.
Who are experiencing grief, loss, trauma, they feel like they're alone. What are the 3 things they can do right now to start moving forward?
I think the first thing that you need to do is to find safety. What is safety to you? Where are you safe in your most intimate space? Do you have that?
Welcome back, you all, to Mastery Podcast, where we share stories of impact-driven entrepreneurs to create this ripple effect of positivity. Today, we have an incredible guest, a good friend of mine, Julie Spears. Julie is a grief and trauma coach. Hi, Julie. Welcome to Mastery Podcast. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor.
It is always amazing to get to catch up with you, Julie. And let me introduce you to our audience a little bit for those who don't know Julie. Julie have 20 years of experience in social work, healthcare curriculum development, and data analysis. Julie specializes in guiding mothers who have lost children through the complex journey of grief and trauma, helping them rebuild their lives with purpose and joy. Julie has also studied extensively under Dr. Amy Abidjan at Trauma Healing Accelerated, equipping her with cutting-edge insights into the biology of trauma and transformative healing techniques. Julie is the creator of the Tangled Grief Framework, a 12-week program that provides tools to surrendering, refining, and rebuilding life after loss. And in today's conversation, we will dive into Julie's journey, her program, and her vision for creating a supportive community that empowers people to walk through their pain and into the life of hope and purpose. So let's start, Julie. You are on air and in the hot seat today. I am so happy to get connected with you today, and it's just by divine design, right? That we just catch up with each other and let's say, hey, let's do a conversation, a podcast about what you've been working on. And can you share a little bit, Julie, about your personal journey and what led you to focus on grief and trauma coaching?
That's a crazy question, because I got to tell you, I would have not chosen to be here. And truthfully, it's kind of interesting because let me tell you, I have had a fine career in the space of kidney disease, a fine career. And I would have told you that I knew my purpose was there, that is what, I was just in the space and I knew exactly what to do. And I was the person that anybody needed because that's how driven I was in that space. And then when I lost Zachary, I felt almost like, who am I as a person? Because here I've been in this space creating programs for people who have lost their kidneys, and they're grieving their life, which I didn't even realize then. And who am I now? Because I've lost a child and I can't even get through my day, And so I just felt like, who is this person? And what happened from that was I had to dive into who am I through a coaching experience for myself, which started out as leadership coaching for my corporate team, that then transitioned to leaving a career of 20 years to figure out who I am and then how do I go on in life. And that just moved to working with one coach to working with over 20 different coaches. And it wasn't because I was like, one wasn't good enough. It's no, because there's so many different layers to life. Mm-hmm. That one was another one. It was eating, it was breathing, it was walking, it was community, it was so many things. And so I just kept feeling this nudge that I needed to share. And I feel like through my career in coaching people with kidney disease, it all of a sudden became a vision to how can I guide and walk with moms who have lost a child through sharing all of the things that I have learned for myself. And so here we are. And that's what I bring, is different steps and different pieces to what has helped me to walk in pain, but then also to be able to look forward to the excitement of what life can bring through what you explained as surrendering, refinding, and rebuilding.
Thank you so much, Julie, for that background. And that's how we got connected. And you're an amazing person. And with all the knowledge that you gather over the years, through working through your programs and stuff, and this is why you created what you created, right? Just to share with the world. And how did the background, Julie, in social work and in healthcare curriculum development shape the way you approach to trauma and loss?
I think just from working in the career for so long and actually seeing that living a life in pain versus teaching and working in a life of pain is not the same at all. And so losing a child has just kind of helped me to see the reality of the difficulty in walking everyday life and really trying to make life changes. Or, sometimes exactly what to do, but then being able to do them with somebody or versus alone is a little bit differently. And so this has kind of just shown me that a lot of times somebody just needs that guide. They need that coach. They need that support, or oftentimes just somebody to bounce things off of so that they know what they are feeling also in parallel with what they are dealing with in everyday life, that they need permission to grieve. They need permission to try to figure things out and to see how to keep going rather than just to look to the world.
All right. That's a good answer. And of course, it's a good answer. You know what you're doing. And sometimes we do need that reminder, and we do need that guide, right? And that's where you come in. And Julie, can you share a bit about your um, Tangled Grief Framework and how it guides the participant through the process of surrendering, refining, and rebuilding?
Yeah, so the framework is built on, I believe that we have the power to what we need to go forward already within ourselves. And I believe that in surrendering, it's a lot of, we can't carry the burdens. We can't carry the burdens of ourselves. We can't carry the burdens of others. And there's a lot of weight just in living life generally that we have on our shoulders. And so I believe that the first piece is to identifying what is not ours to carry, what we can let go of so that we can really work on our true selves, and what it is that we need to let go of so that we find our true identity. That's the first part with surrender.
Mhm. Yeah. And some people don't even recognize that they are going through grief, right? They just keep going
Mm-mm,
and going and going, and they
mm-mm.
don't realize how that affect their life.
I think that it's a painful process
Mhm.
and it's stripping you bare. It's basically laying you out for the world naked is what surrendering does,
Mhm.
because it's asking for a place that is very uncomfortable. And one of the things with surrender that I hear a lot is a trigger. It always makes me think when somebody says that song is a trigger, or going to the grocery store is a trigger, or having this family event is a trigger. And what I have to do to test my own self, because I used that as it was a trigger, is really what it was. Is it was a moment of pain, a moment of uncomfortability, but it was also a permission to evaluate who I am and how I need to go forward with that pain. Am I stuck? Or is this something that's going to make me a catalyst to go forward to redefine who I want to be? So I think that we have to look at those things and experience this to say, if this is truly a trigger, then what do I need to do to calm and to find safety within my space to continue forward? Because we're going to face these triggers regularly.
Mhm. Yeah. And when you said triggers with the end of the year, holiday season, birthdays,
Yeah.
and all those stuff, and do you feel like some people feel guilty to be happy? It's like they need to give themselves permission to be happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How can you not feel guilty? And then at the same time, I'm sure there's people saying, well, how can you be happy? And I
Right.
think it's a matter of choice. I think it's looking at, if you're not happy, what happens?
Hmm.
If you choose happy and you find happy, then the unimaginable possibilities could happen.
Hmm.
And for me, it was a hard choice to choose happy, not because a lot of times I'll hear people say, well, your child would want you to be happy. Really? Well, this isn't about my child because he's not here. And so the reality is my child is no longer here, but I am still here and other people are still here. And so if I choose to be miserable and if I choose to stay stuck, where rightly so, people may say I deserve to stay, like in my own self. It's not ever going to bring me to a place of peace. It's never going to bring me a place to where I'm living in comfort again. But if I can switch that, which is what I work to do, and it was a difficult choice, is to say, how can I still, if I know I'm not going to get better, but
Hmm.
what can I do differently so that I see things differently? And if I'm told that I'm a worthy being, and if I'm told that there's more for me, let me see it. Show me what that can possibly be.
Hmm. And that's what you put into your program, the framework on how to get through that and
Mm-hmm.
really refining and rebuilding, right? And how
That's it.
does this program, Julie? And I can't wait to see it. I'm sure it's amazing. How does this program incorporate what you've learned from Dr. Amy Abidjan and the biology of trauma?
Mm-hmm. This program has taken not only we talk a little bit about the trauma, but that's very scientific. I'm not scientific. I am somebody who lives and breathes it every day, and so my approach is very simple.
Mhm.
Because if we could do the hard on our own, if we could have already done it, we would have already done it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But what we look for is what is something different, and I believe that a lot of it, again, it's within us. But something as simple as how are you breathing? Are you breathing? Does it hurt to breathe? Are you allowing yourself to take in the proper breath? And so we look at what trauma does to the body and how it actually affects the person. Because if we think about it, the world will say, "Oh, well, it's a diagnosis that in 6 months, if you're still grieving the loss, that's in the DSM, that's no, it's unacceptable." It's also told that the first year, just get through the first year,
Mhm.
or time heals. Those are myths. And so what we walk through the framework is not what the world says, but more so what does your body feel? Because trauma is not just a one and done shot. These traumas are things that have happened over a period of life. We start with the womb. How are you birthed? How was your childhood? How was the rest of the years? How was your family life? And now you add in these other things that have happened. And so a lot of what we deal with in the body is maybe it's not that you lost a child, maybe it's that you experienced something else. And these things affect us in the same way. And that's the part that we need to get past, is it's not so much what happened to us, it's how are we feeling and how are we walking forward in it. You have to wear two different shoes, so to speak.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, well said. Now you are creating a community too, right? And you've spoken about that, the importance of creating the community where people can connect and heal
Mm-hmm.
together. And I experienced some of that. It's super helpful. And how does this community aspect play into your programs?
Mm-hmm. I feel like there's a couple ways that people need support when they've experienced a traumatic event. And one is to know that they are not alone in that pain. I think I may have shared earlier that, at some point in time, it was like, this is just me. Or
Mhm.
growing up, I may feel like, everybody has a perfect life but me. And so when you can look at things a little bit differently, then it allows you to see that there's so much pain in the world and there's so much heartbreak in the world. But it can also be difficult to share your story, or it can be difficult for people to hear our stories. It's not a matter of there's the need, it's a matter of the reality of it is. And
Mhm.
so the community is a place where you don't have to come to share your specifics, but you can come broken. You can come in hurting. You can come in where you were and now you need community, but it's more so a place to gain acceptance as you are for who you are, and also a chance to hear from other people how they get through life. And it could be a matter of what brings them joy, what is their favorite activities, what is it that they like to do every day. Do they drink coffee? What kind of coffee? And the reason these things are so important is it gives you a chance to step out of your own place of being and identify with somebody else and learn from them. So many people may say it's copying. You know, when you're a child, you're like, I'm copying someone else. I need to be my own self. I need to be my own authenticity. I think that's where you learn. And the beauty of community is that you learn and you grow and you build among other people's hopes and dreams and you collaborate together. And that alone helps to create new visions to refine and rebuild who we are.
Wow, beautiful. You need to write a book about that. Love it, love it. And I want to kind of mention that when you say copying, and isn't that what we're doing? We aspire to be what who we admire, right? If the person have some kind of technique that really help them to overcome certain situation, and then they're just happy. It's like, hey, let me try that, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
It's
It's not
okay.
copying. It's just like learning from each other, like you say. So I
Yeah.
think that's beautiful. I think community is awesome. And as a human being, right, we are not made to go through anything alone, especially
Right.
life and what comes with it, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And what Julie, what is your vision for is it Connect 30A Walks? Is that your community? What's your vision, and how do they complement your 12-week program?
Well, so I think the 12-week program is just the starting point. So the vision overall is to continue to host retreats. And so that will be just a more intimate space where, so I host retreats, but that will be the space where we get that intimate, just automatic community where you have somebody in your cell phone when you leave. And so you've got that connection. The next place that we're going to go into is group programs. And so how do we build a group where every month we'll come together, and this one will be called the War Room, and this is where we get together, and just every month people can come in and we pray for each other. I am there to support you and just to offer different community connections. We'll have the 12-week program. The hope of that 12-week program is that the 12-week program will roll into community connections, which is what you're speaking of, Connect on 30A. So the overall umbrella is Tangled Grief, and then Tangled Grief rolls down into the 12-week program, the Connect on 30A program, which is where I'll be meeting at different community locations, and we'll meet together to walk and just to find different people in the community. It won't be about your story, so it's not where you come to share the sad, but it's where you just come to meet other people, and I can provide thought prompts. From there, it's going over into an accelerated program, which will be a year-long program and open membership, where people will be able to come in and I will share different things that I have learned through the biology of trauma, but it's not a one and done. I believe that when you're looking to change habits, I used to think it was like a 7-day or a 30-day habit, but I don't think it's that easy. And I have experienced that just from like, how do I eat healthy to to shape my gut from the trauma that it's been through, or my nervous system, or inflammation in the body. And it's a continuous trial and error. And when we have community that can share the different things they've done, then it really helps to put us forward and to be a catalyst in our own life. And so that's what we hope to create, is just a safe space without the, oh, forgive me, Seth, I don't want to say this the wrong way, but I always felt like when I went into Facebook, it was just way, I'm about to die. I don't know how I'm going to make it anymore. And I've been there. And so I'm not here to knock that. But at some point in time, you just have to step out of the tears and the whiny baby and the poor, pitiful me, and I can't do this. And how do I go on into I am ready? Like, I am not going to sit in this pain another day. I am ready to go forward. And when I do fall back in the pain, it's okay. Smack myself on the booty, give myself that time and grace, and then pick it up and let's keep going. And so that's where the community comes involved, is we can't do it alone. And we all need that person that's going to reach their hand down and say, come on, let's get up. We can do it. But that also is going to give us the grace and the permission to let us cry and to hear our tears, and then to wipe them away and say, when you're ready, I got you, girl. That's what the community is about. So we want to show people how trauma impacts their life. It's real. It's real. And then I also think, if I can say one more thing, Sass,
Mm-hmm.
is I listen to mamas talk about their husbands and their children, and they're trying to do so much,
Mm-hmm.
and they're pushing their grief and their feelings and what's happening to them inside. And I think what ends up happening, this is so gross, but this is how my analogy is that you throw up chunks on everybody. They
Mm-hmm.
all get that negativity bull that is just coming out. But
Yeah.
in your heart, you want to love well. In your heart, you want to be able to feel that ache and that yearn and that desire, because when we lose our child, it's like a dopamine. It is an addiction. Where you get that comfort is from community, and it is from finding the syrup to your soul. And that's different for everybody. And it could be going for coffee, it could be joining a book club, it could be writing your own 12-week program. But I don't believe that you just wake up one day and decide what you're going to do without surrendering who you are, without refining who you want to be, and then without developing your purpose that is authentic so that you can love well, and so that you love good, and so that it feels good when you walk out into the world.
I love it. I love how you put it. And it is, I've been through that journey, and I think I recognize the step that you just spoken just right now. It's like you have to do all that to be functional and need to be happy again, right?
Yeah.
And Julie, for those who are listening and who are experiencing grief, loss, trauma, they feel like they're alone. What are the three things they can do right now to start moving forward?
Yeah. I think the first thing that you need to do is to find safety. What is safety to you? And I don't mean like, an overall I'm safe in this world, but where are you safe in your most intimate space? Do you have that? Do you have the best blanket and your favorite pillow? Do you have a place that you can go to find comfort in your soul? That's what you need. Sometimes that could be using different pillows, different blankets. It could be using different props, being in a different space in your home. But a lot of times we don't have that one place that just it connects us and allows us to really surrender. So that's one thing. A way that you can do that is to look in different corners of a space if you're trying to figure it out, and just look in different corners of your home and say, I am safe. You can put your hand here on your heart. A lot of times I like to put it under my skin and actually touch my skin and put my other hand on top of it and just, I am safe. I am safe. And it because we have to teach ourselves, because we've gone through so many different things in our life. And so what we want to do is we really got to break into that subconscious brain and transition our thought processes. So it's going to take work. Again, that's why you need the guide. And it's not a 7 day, it's not a 21 day, it's a lifetime of change. And that's what we want to bring. But we want to root it where it really strips us bare and starts over. So I'm safe.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So find a place where they feel safe in any room or any corner in their house.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, why do you believe that it is so important to have a trained guidance when navigating grief and trauma?
Because I already said you can't do it alone, but I think that there are ways that we can just tip over the iceberg and just go into screaming fits, or maybe we do nothing and we go into a freeze state where we just explode anger. You see, there's different patterns to trauma. There's the fight, the flight, the freeze, and the fawn, which is people pleasing. And so sometimes people go into over pleasing and they build all of these expectations that they
Yeah.
can never meet. And so then they're never satisfied, which goes to probably the second step, which is breathe.
Mhm.
Because when you look at what you're having to live with, when you go through a traumatic experience, a lot of times in the first few years, it takes so much time. You really need to be, I mean, I could invest 4 hours in myself a day and it not be enough to calm the nervous system. So it's going to depend on what you're doing. But one thing is that we have to know how to breathe. And what I have learned is that when you go through a traumatic experience, it will shift that breathing pattern. So you're breathing from your chest rather from your stomach and your gut.
Mhm.
So one of the things that they need to do is to see where you're breathing. And to do that, I never even realized. I'm like, I'm breathing. But it's really the proper technique. And so pay attention to how you're breathing. Is it from your chest or is it from your stomach? A lot of times it can be very difficult to breathe from your stomach, but that is really where you want those breaths to come. So you want to see that you're taking very full, deep breaths, at least once a day to start with, to the fullest of the extent that you can. And you really want to let that breath release a little slowly. So what a guide will do is to help you to learn some proper breathing techniques so that you don't over breathe yourself and you don't go into a panic or a state that you don't belong in. Um, and also, even just when you're having these trigger experiences, to have some exercises to titrate with can bring all of the difference to the world so that you can actually see a change in your patterns.
Yeah, it's more than just like Aman said. It's all the activities that you get guided through to support you through the whole
Mm-hmm.
process. I
Mm-hmm.
get that, and I think we all need a coach in different areas of life, right? Especially this is deep, this is heavy. If you don't want to go through this alone, never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So, Julie, how do you see tangled grief evolving in the future, and what impact do you hope to make on the lives of those you serve?
Yeah. I have created Tangled Grief uh, in a way that is not my own. And what I mean by that is this is not my vision. This is a vision that Jesus has birthed into me because it is not something that I could have ever imagined or believed possible. So,
Mhm.
what I look for in developing this program is feedback from people who have lost a child or have gone through trauma. And I listen to them and I see where I can fit in to serve. I think that the vision that I have is to take these walks, Connect on 30A, to become Connect in Dothan. So, we have a walk that's going to be coming up in Dothan, Alabama, where somebody has been through the 12-week program and she is now going to be leading her own walk. I have another mom who is in the Texas area who will be leading her own walk. And so the hope is to take Tangled Grief and to bring it into cities far and wide from the east to the west where we connect moms. It's not so much about paying for a 12-week program, but more so how do we connect other people together so that they know that how they feel inside their body is real and that you have to take how you feel inside your body and deal with that. And so, can I share the third exercise?
Sure. You can. Did I miss that?
No, no, we've just been talking along. It's been flowing perfectly. But the last one is the VU, and I think the VU exercise is so important because if you do nothing, if you do nothing but look for a community or find a friend that you can talk to, make sure that they're positive to you and find you some music that is syrup to your soul. Find you music that gives you that positive influence. And or whatever it is. The reason I say music is the VU exercise is something that affects the longest nerve in the body, the vagus nerve. And so they have a couple of things. The VU is where you actually have a practice and it's you go VU and you continue going on. If I did it, it sounds so gross, but I'm happy to do it if you would like for me to, because you're basically taking the largest breath that you can possibly in and you're VUing out with your voice all the way until you can barely go anymore. And so it's a very unique noise, but it's really good for you to do this. So that singing also works this vagus nerve too, because it's bringing that vibration, which is causing a relaxing experience throughout the entire body. And so that's really what you need to do. And it brings calming to that nervous system. So if you do have a moment where you're like, thinking about those triggers that I mentioned, and you're like, Julie, I really do have triggers when I go into the grocery store or when I go into these events. I know you do. And that's why these exercises are so valuable, is because you can start doing these before you get to where you're going and ask yourself, what is it that I need to bring safety to myself? Sometimes it's not going, and sometimes it's finding a different route, but that's okay because that's what gets you forward to finding the joy that becomes syrup to your soul.
Sometimes it's singing in the car or singing in the shower.
Yes, yes. Singing is just beautiful. Loud, just sing is really good for your body to vibrate that nervous system. Mhm.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for that. Is there's one takeaway that you think people can take away from this conversation, from our conversation? What would that be?
Mm.
Just one thing. I know you tell us many things, but what
You,
if
you
it's just one thing?
you can't do it alone.
Yeah.
You can't do it alone. You can't stay. I think it's Albert Einstein and maybe a couple others, and I'm going to get this quote wrong, but you can't go forward and do something different if you're doing the same things over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could have already done it, we already would have. We know what we're capable of doing. We already have it inside of us, but sometimes just somebody to empower us and encourage us along the way is the hugest difference. I'm not here to change how people think. I'm here to pull out your greatest heart's desires and to tell you and to show you that you can do it.
Yeah.
Your voice is needed. Powerful.
Absolutely. That's why you're here. Your voice is needed, Julie. Well, I wish I can talk to you more, and I'm sure a lot of people will be checking you out and seeing what you have to offer. And you guys, if you want to follow up on Julie, check her out on juliespears.com. That's where you can find her. And thank you so much, Julie, for sharing your story, your wisdom, and your incredible work. You're doing the support for those. It's tough what you're doing. And, when you carry the pain of others, which sometimes we, as a coach, as a mentor, right, it is inevitable. And your passion for helping others find hope, to find purpose, shines through everything you do. And I'm just grateful that we got connected. And you guys, check out juliespears.com. There you'll find more information about Tangled Grief and the upcoming program and the supportive community that Julie is building. And whether you are seeking guidance, right, or know someone who might benefit from Julie's work, her resources can be a transformative step forward. And thank you so much, Julie. Thank you, y'all, for tuning in for this episode of Mastery Podcast. Remember, no matter the pain you're walking through, there is hope, and you are never alone. Until next time, take care and keep creating a ripple effect of positivity. Thank you so much, Julie, for this great conversation. And let's stay connected.